writers, welcome back. We're back with Annette Annechild. Hello, Annette. How are you?
Hello, Jade. I'm well today. How about yourself?
I'm so good because I'm so happy to be here. I'm going to remind everybody what I've been saying at the beginning of each of these sessions, and this is our fourth installment with Annette. I cannot recommend enough going back and listening to any of that you might have missed. There's so many great tidbits. Even if you just take one thing from it, I think you'll be better for it. But today we're going to be right here in it, and we're going to do the thing that's in front of us. You have I guess, a technique, I'll call it. You can correct me if I'm wrong. That's doing the next right thing. Can you describe what that is, why people should do it, and why you brought that into your practice?
Well, I would start by saying everybody probably shares a feeling at some point that life is overwhelming. You wake up in the morning, that's why people have lists that are this long, right? And the next day they carry them over of the things they didn't accomplish. So it's an endless list. So how do we break that? I mean, what we're trying to tap into, particularly for artists and writers, is to get energy, to be inspired, to enjoy it again, for it to be lighthearted and natural and organic and effortless. That's what we're looking for, as opposed to tedious and heavy and anxiety filled, right? So one of my little theories is just do the next right thing. And what's interesting is it kind of slows down time, because you cannot do 15 tasks at once. And very often people don't pick the most important task to start with. It's more random. They pick it out of fear, the anxiety, or just unawareness. So building on what we've been talking about these past weeks is, when we meditate, first of all, we're building home base. We're seeing that when the mind is still, that there's something else. There's something that feels calm and peaceful and intuitive. So we want to get more and more in touch with that. Doing the next right thing blends with that, right? So when I don't, like, if I have a really long mental list of things to do, or I'm deciding what to do next, I literally will sit and do that little triangle breathing that we've talked about now each time. Just in 3, out 6, nothing at all, just a little meditative breath. I'll wait until what I would say the spirit moves me. So I'll be like, just take a break, just take a minute and breathe, Annette. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh yeah, I had to go mail that package today. Or, oh, I had to call so-and-so. I don't need to write a list anymore, honestly. And I was a huge list taker. Back when we used yellow pads, I'd fill one and copy it over for the next day, what I didn't do. I deal with so many people and so many appointments and so many things, and I'm not perfect at it. But by and large, I'm able to feel, even if I'm off and I do make a mistake, something's tickling me that something's off. I might not find it. We all make mistakes, but you most of the time will be doing the exact appropriate thing, so that you're not overwhelmed. So that, they say if you have to eat an elephant, do it in small bites. You want to just stay with just what's next. Oh, I need to bring the kids to school. Okay, what's next? Well, I should have a little coffee. What's next? Maybe I should do that walk today. What's next? I'm going to go into my office now. Whatever that next is, we're trying to live a more organic, effortless life. Again, flowing with the current as opposed to battling the waves.
What do you say, or what advice do you give to people that have like doubt that what they think is the next right thing is the next right thing? Because I feel like we're so worried about being right, that the thing that we're going to do next is right. So any help with that doubt that comes in?
Well, first I'd quote the Buddhists who say, don't believe us, just try it. Everything that they espouse, they kind of add that little thing to. Don't believe meditation works, just try it, which I love because it got me to try things. And this is a technique that doesn't cost anything. It's private. No one will even know you're doing it. And see if it works for you. Because the intuition doesn't not have the mind involved. It just isn't letting the mind lead. So for instance, if this is the surgeon and this is the instrument, most people are living like, this is the surgeon and this doesn't exist, right? So we're kind of flipping it. when you're coming from your deepest self, it's never wrong. And again, I think all of us have had intuitive moments and looked back and got, God, it's a good thing I looked in my rearview mirror. There was a guy all of a sudden there. Or it's a good thing that I made that call. That was really, when these intuitive things happen, you realize there's more going on than just your mind. So we're trying to plug the mind in so that what you think and what you feel will be together, right? It'll be guided by something bigger.
And then you're guiding the instruments as well, because you're the surgeon, even though it's continuously there, it's going to not keep quiet, it's not going to stop, but we're guiding at least, you know.
And comforting it. Nothing good comes out of anxiety, right? You don't have your best self, your best writing, your best sleep, your best eating. The body is not meant to be on overdrive, adrenal glands, cortisol. That's not really, that's supposed to happen like once in a blue moon, right? Lift the car off the baby, God forbid. It's not supposed to be happening daily. And for many of my clients, it's daily. They wake up that way, they go to bed that way. And my heart goes out to them because I lived that way. I mean, I'm a good therapist because I was a good patient. You know, I learned all of this working on myself, working with other therapists when I was young, to realize, wait a minute, I want to have a life that I enjoy. And it makes me think about how working with people who have been diagnosed with terminal illnesses, which does come into therapy quite a bit, and you realize that all the stupid stuff fades away. Or not even a terminal illness, just an illness. It's all of a sudden feeling the fragility of life. And suddenly they're able to change things. They're able to see the trees and the flowers and feel the air and go for that walk in a way that before their head was spinning, right? So I thought as a young therapist, that knowledge needs to come to young people. So it's not just in the end of your life, but all your life, that you learn how to comfort yourself. You know, you can't blame the mind for being anxious. We live in an anxious time. I mean, COVID, people still haven't recovered from that mental shift, that something like that could happen in America. And then you have a very difficult political situation. Us against them is kind of the anxiety of the world. So it's never been more important to have some techniques that are helping you. Because if not, if you're watching the news and being bombarded with all of this, I mean, it's just too much.
I agree. And it's so funny because it's like, it's so simple, because it seems like sometimes when we have that overwhelm and that long list, you almost are like frozen, right? Like you're so overwhelmed that you're inactive. But to just do one thing, it seems like it would actually make you more productive, you know, which seems so counterintuitive.
100%. I would say that people that view me from the outside in my personal life think I am the most productive and most inspired, you know, in my energy most of the time, and disciplined. They always think I'm really disciplined and productive. And I don't experience myself that way because I practice what I preach. I'm just doing the next right thing. Keep it small, keep it really small, and just do everything you can the best you can. It's also something that the yogis really talk about a lot and teach you. When I was really young and I went to live in an ashram briefly, and I walked in, and I guess I put my shoes somewhere and my keys somewhere and my purse somewhere and left a towel somewhere, and they pulled me aside and they go, "Oh, Annette, we don't live like that." And they brought me back to the door and they go, "You see where your shoes go? You see where your keys go? You see where your purse goes? And when you leave a room, you leave it like you entered it. So see that towel? That wouldn't be there." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even realize." I was so scattered. I was known as scattered in my family. And suddenly there was this framework that kind of probably was the genesis, the very seed of doing the next right thing. If you have your keys in your hand, always put it on the hook and you won't be searching for your keys, right? It's if your shoes aren't in the middle, no one will trip over them. It's right. It's all these simple and doing the next right thing. You're completing that thing as well as you possibly can with your awareness.
I was just about to say, you're bringing mindfulness into everything, right? Because
Yeah.
I think we do so much mindlessly that now if you're bringing mindfulness into it, I'm sure that also must lead to fulfillment as well. I can't see how it won't.
It gives your life some like a grace. Like I'm picturing that maybe one of our listeners has kids and the house is strewn with toys. The kids are off at school now, and there's this mess in the house, right? So we can be picking up things going, darn, right? That energy. Or we can be like, thank you for giving me these beautiful children, and picking up these things and recognizing it's a state of grace to have children. They won't be young for long. There won't be toys for long to pick up because children grow so fast. So bringing that kind of grace as best you can. I'm not saying we do that every time so perfectly, me neither, but I really work on that. You know, they say it doesn't matter if you're sweeping a floor or you're the CEO. It matters how you sweep the floor. When you start to work in mindfulness, you always have energy. Instead of like trying to get away with doing less, instead, you're doing more. And sort of these random acts of kindness will start to appear. Like maybe when you're really aware of picking up the toys, you're like, my kids don't need this much. They won't even miss these. I'm going to take these to Goodwill because there's some child that has no toy. I'm going to give these away. Something like that might emerge from that shift in awareness. All kinds of different things emerge, and people love you for it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like I've done a few things at this new little club I belong to, and just because I overheard like somebody that was old saying that their hands were so cold, and that's why they couldn't stay in the water, and at night why they couldn't sleep. So I look on Amazon, I Google it, and for like no money, they have these little mitts that you put in the microwave, and you can put on your hands and you can sleep with them. You would have thought that I'd bought her a house, and shocked that somebody did something. So, you know, they say the giver is more blessed than the receiver. And that's how it felt. It was like, wow, you know, I can afford to do things like that. And I always say to people, just pay it forward, random act of kindness. It's no big deal. It's not like you're looking for accolades. It's just a pleasure when they come in and they go, I slept all night. Oh my God, these gloves are amazing. You know, so sweet.
Yeah. Well, Annette, I would love to like end our series on what you think or what you would like to impart as like the next thing for anybody listening to do, you know, to like we're gonna say goodbye right now, and then they're gonna go and do something. So what would you say is like the next step that you would implore somebody to try or do or just implement?
Well, I think we should do a little something right now together.
Go for it.
So let's just have everybody, if you can, wherever you are, just sitting, laying, whatever you can do to just relax a little bit and just closing the eyes. And we start always with just that simple 3-part breath, which is just imagining 1 through 3 in, 1 through 6 out, and no breath at all. So we're just calming ourselves down, nice big breaths. And I want you to imagine yourself as perhaps a younger girl, a little one, pure love. Perhaps there's a photograph you remember yourself as a little one. And just imagine opening your heart to that picture in your mind of this beautiful spirit that's you, that came into this very complicated world with so much love and so much hope, so much freedom. And just taking a moment to remind yourself that that girl or that boy is still within you. Everything you've ever been is still within you. And we don't expect that much from really young children. We just pick them up and rock them and hold them. Perhaps you could even imagine doing that for yourself at this moment. Telling that little one that they're beautiful, that they're loved, and that they can have a good, relaxing, fun day today. Even the chores will be fun. as a feeling of well-being begins to come into you and calm you, as you remember just how happy little ones are to just wake up, to see the sun, a bird, trees, sky. And making a memory now of that love, self-love, that brings peace to the core, and perhaps making a commitment to yourself that no matter what you do today, you will hang on to this absolute right you have to love yourself just the way you are today. And then when you're ready, coming back into the room.
Ooh, wow.
Right? Yeah.
I even felt my jaw loosen up a little bit, you know? No, I love that.
So for instance, because I'm sure other people have parts of their body that tighten up, I would suggest to your question how to start. If any of these little exercises that we're doing call to mind, like my back hurts, my ears hurt, and my jaw relaxed a little bit, to just use your own self-healing, to put your own hands on your own jaw or on your own stomach, if your stomach feels upset, or whatever it might be for you, the hands that clench, and give it self-love. You know, John Lennon was right. Love is all there is. We have to start with that because that puts us in a favorable position to take care of ourselves and ultimately to take care of each other and to be able to produce from our hearts the writing that we're hoping to accomplish.
Sure. And that you are such a gift and such a blessing. I am grateful I got to experience this and you today, and that this will live on for anybody to come back to, because I think sometimes that's important. You know, do you need to come back to something? Because we easily forget and life carries on and, you know, takes over. So thank you
Not
so
if you
much.
have a not if you have a practice, I might
Yes,
interject.
yes. No, so good. But no, I'm so grateful for you, and thank you so much for this. It was so beautiful.
It was such a pleasure. I always love working with all of you. I love AWAI and all of its members. My heart's with you.
Yeah, thank you, Annette. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.